Hello, welcome to Hot Topics. The Office of Regulatory Services have identified through planned audits, consumer complaints and industry monitoring a number of key issues that agencies, licensed agents and registered salespeople need to be aware of. The ORS described a number of issues regarding complaints that they receive, areas of compliance that require attention, and also sections of the Australian consumer law that the real estate industry need to follow and be compliant with. These hot topics are shared with Wisdom through our regular consultation with the Office of Regulatory Services. So let's look at what they are. Agents charging unauthorised fees. The Office of Regulatory Services, that I'll refer to from now on in this video as ORS, found that some agencies are charging unauthorised fees. An example of this is where a new tenant is being added to a tenancy agreement that's already in place, and the tenant is charged an administration fee to have this done. Under the legislation, specifically Section 15 of the Residential Tenancies Act, this is not allowed. The Section 15 of the Act states that a lessor must not require or accept any consideration for agreeing to enter into, extend or renew a tenancy agreement, agreeing to the assignment or transfer of a tenant's rights and obligations under the agreement, and consenting to a tenant entering into, extending or renewing a residential tenancy agreement or with a subtenant. We can't charge a fee for somebody vacating the premises, giving a tenant a key, or for information about the availability of properties to lease. In regard to break lease fees, break lease letters should convey that tenants are allowed to wait for a tribunal order if they do not agree with the compensation sought by the landlord. And also, agents shouldn't ask for any more than the Act allows for. Advertising for sale or rent. It's very important that when we advertise properties we make full disclosure about any negative matters that have happened at the past in the property and that might influence somebody's decision to either rent or buy the property. This would include whether a serious crime has been committed at the property, there's been a suicide, a murder, etc. Also, whether there's any waste or chemical residue at the property, and any proximity issues. Is the property close to any other property where a significant event of a negative nature has taken place? We should also take care with the advertisements regarding inclusions in the property. If you take a photo of a kitchen and there's a dishwasher visible in the photo, that dishwasher should stay with the property, whether it's for sale or rent. So do take care. Record keeping. Section 8 of the Agents Act regards record keeping and says that we must keep the material details of all transactions. Often, when we're discussing matters with a landlord or a prospective seller or buyer, we make these as mobile telephone calls. If there is a later dispute and we haven't recorded the details of that call, it's very hard for ORS to support us if there's a claim against us by our client. So we do need to be careful to record details of mobile telephone calls and any other matter that might affect the outcome. Trust accounts. Trust accounts are required to be audited within 3 months of the end of the audit period, which is the 30th of June, by a qualified auditor. If you are a licensed person and you didn't hold any trust monies during the audit period for the previous year, you must submit a statutory declaration within 3 months to the Office of Regulatory Services stating that you didn't hold any trust monies. Unclaimed trust monies. On the 1st of July every year, we must examine our trust account and see whether any trust monies have been unclaimed for 3 years or more. If we have trust monies, we must such as those, we must submit to the ORS a statement of unclaimed trust monies by the 31st of July that year. Agency agreements. Schedules 3 and 4 in the Agents Regulations set out the specific terms and clauses that need to be included in all agency agreements for them to be compliant. Section 100 of the Act states that if an agency agreement is non-compliant, then the agent is not allowed to keep any fees or commission that they have taken under that agreement. Now, this doesn't only mean making sure that all those clauses that are required are in our agency agreements, but they are properly filled out. It is a requirement that the agreement is signed both by the client and the agent. So, should you forget to sign the agreement, even though everything else is compliant, you may find that the agreement is non-compliant. Continuing professional development. The Office of Regulatory Services has been and continues to conduct audits of CPD requirements, and it is important that you complete your continuing professional development and keep the statements that are issued. For licensed people, you must complete by the 30th of June, and for registered people by the 31st of October. Australian consumer law. The Competition and Consumer Act is a very important piece of legislation, and probably the part that affects real estate agents the most is false and misleading advertising, although other parts are obviously of importance. You must be clear in all your representations about a property, whether they're written or oral, that they are not false and misleading. And you cannot remain silent about any matter that might affect somebody's decision, and failure to reveal something that you should have revealed is false and misleading under the Act. Also, you have to be careful about statements that you make about your agency. Using statements such as number one agent in your suburb is most unwise. You must be able to support these statements with statistical evidence. Single price advertising. When you advertise a price for your services, it should include the GST component. Single price, not the price for your service plus GST, but what is the GST inclusive price. I do hope these tips have been of use to you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.